Hey, what goes great with Liberty, guys? Alcohol. But what's second best? Coffee. You nailed it. We got a brand new Morning Roar line of coffee through Anarco Coffee, which you can find at lionsofliberty.com/coffee. But even better, if you're a Pride member at the $10 level or up, you get 15% off every order. That's on top of all the other great content you get. Conspiracy Corners, Degenerate Gamblers, Do Nothing Man episodes. And not only that, but you'll also get access to the Legion of Liberty Doom. So join today at patreon.com/Lions of Liberty.
Welcome to Electric Libertyland, here on the Lions of Liberty podcast, your weekly shot of culture, comedy, and liberty with your host, Brian McWilliams.
Let's do this. Recording. We're good. I have to turn my mic down because I'm loud.
No, I think your mic is just fine.
Is it? Okay.
You're hanging right where you need to be.
Okay, cool. All right,
it actually records. This thing's so good, it will record 3 separate audio tracks that you can adjust independently when you're done.
That's like me at an orgy. So that's why they call me So Good McWilliams. I can adjust on the fly and make everybody come out just fine.
I love every time you say something, I'm thinking there's more editing to do.
No, there's no editing.
All going in
I don't think you understand the content. So, guys, welcome to Electric Libertyland's Libertarians in Living Rooms Drinking Liquor.
Wait, can we restart that?
No, there's no restarting, Michael.
Hang on, say it again. Libertarians in
living rooms drinking liquor.
All right.
That's what we're doing here, gentlemen. And I'm here. You've already heard a couple of the voices. I'm here with Jason Stapleton of the Jason Stapleton program. Have him drinking in here. Jason, tell the crowd about yourself in 30 seconds or less. What are you drinking? Why are you here? Why do you love liberty and alcohol?
I like Guinness. That's what I drink. And I'm here because somebody said, do you want to come do a podcast and drink at the same time? And those seem like those are 2 pretty cool things. So, and Mike told me that there was going to be nudity. So,
well, that's just going to be me. I hate
that's just you
pop that bubble, but that's going to be me a little bit later. I did wear some tight pants tonight, though. You can see I'm already kind of bulging.
Nude. I can see your calf.
Yeah, well. I mean, I try. When I wear long pants, I tell ladies that's just the tip of my dick down there.
I'm not going to lie. For a man, you have got very nice legs.
I used to. Okay, fun story. Hold on. Let me just introduce Michael, then I'll tell you a fun story about my beautiful dancer's legs.
All right.
Also with us tonight on Electric Libertyland's Libertarians in Living Rooms Drinking Liquor is the one and the only Michael Boldin from the 10th Amendment Center. Michael, welcome.
Hi.
All right. Was that it?
That was... I'm here because I didn't have to leave my apartment.
That's true. We are squatting here.
This is actually a pretty good room for recording in. You've got this thing set up nice.
This is a good room for recording, podcast, and murder. Those are the 2 things it's best for.
Well, you saw the locker in the living room.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the locker in Michael's fucking apartment. It's got some sort of... It's like, you ever see True Detective series, like the first season of True Detective at HBO?
I'm trying to figure out how this is related to your calves.
I'll get back to that.
Okay,
but
full circle.
The deer antlers sticking out of that locker make it look like it's just full of skinned deers and scrotums.
It's technically a perch for my 2 parrots that are sleeping in the second bathroom.
Oh, okay. So we have to keep it down for the parrots.
Antlers.
Okay. All right. So about my calves and my beautiful. There you go. For your people, get these gams. Get these gams. Come on, Jason. I'm showing these legs off. Beautiful legs for a man. So I worked at a place called Sesame Place, which was a theme park, or is a theme park back in Pennsylvania, outside of Philly, for Sesame Street. Right? You guys familiar with it? Of course you are. So this place,
Sesame Street,
like the kids show, Big Bird and Elmo, etc.
Not really. I was watching my own.
Should we have them restart this?
For what reason?
Let's do the intro to the podcast again. Let's do another take.
Let's start it from the top.
No,
yeah, I think so.
No, we're not doing any of that. No, there's no editing here. I know the game you're trying to do. There's no editing here. This is an LALDL.
All right,
I'm not doing shit. There's no editing of cursing.
Continue.
Racial slurs on the president's.
Tell us more about your legs. It's so interesting.
You wanted to hear this story. So I was at Sesame Place, and we had to go on these leotards for this. I just did the float, right, for the parade. And I had this leotard on because I was in one of the characters. He had dressed like a black leotard, like a stage guy.
Can you still say retard?
Yeah, well, leotard, like a retarded lion. So, so I'm in this leotard.
What's funny is that your stand-up is so bad, and yet when you're here, it's so good.
Oh, he's great when he's sitting.
That's really the key to it. But anyway, all the female dancers there looked at me in the leotard, and they were just amazed at these beautiful dancers' legs I possess. So my wife doesn't listen to these podcasts much. Ladies of Liberty, if you're out there and you want a piece of the old McWilliams, we're going to be at Porcfest, the Lions. Jason Stapleton also going to Porcfest. And we were talking about this earlier because Michael, he's up in the air. He may go, he may not go. But we were talking about how Porcfest is like you have to hire like a Sherpa guy to get out in the middle of nowhere. You got to flag down a van and give 7 blowjobs and 4 pot brownies to somebody to get out there.
And I was the keynote speaker at Porcfest 10 when I had to do all that you described.
Come a long way since then.
It's an amazing week.
I
don't even think they have that on the website anymore. They just skipped the year. It's like on a hotel where they skipped the 13th floor. That was Boldin's year keynoting.
I was a backup. I was called the week before. Hey, can you substitute?
That's all there is to the story?
That's the whole story.
Jesus Christ, man.
You told like the rest of it how to get there, actually.
You're like the straight man here. Well, we're talking about it is just... Yeah, it is a real bitch because you got to fly into Boston and you rent your car. Then good luck, though, trying to drop that car off. Like Rico and I, we got our car, drove out, had to drop it off in this podunk town in the middle of nowhere, which is still 40 minutes from Porcfest because Porcfest itself is by nothing, which is, I guess, the point of it, right? You're left the fuck alone in the middle of the woods with a bunch of guys and girls and mostly guys and girls and drugs and guns and.
Hang on, we need to fix this lady problem that we have.
That's why we're bringing you in today, big boss.
I don't think Porcfest has the normal lady problem that you might be familiar with.
There are more women there than most events. I will say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
Really?
But Stapleton, make your pitch.
Really, it's a libertarian event, and there's a ton of women there. Come on, calling yourself a libertarian is like chick repellent.
They identify as women.
Clearly, it's not a real libertarian event.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's the real litmus
test. There would be no ladies there. Let me see. Well, secondly, if you want to have women at an event, you don't hold it in the middle of bumfuck Egypt where nothing's there and some chick's got to come out and either sleep in a tent or be weirded out by all the creepos that will go to a 4 or 5 day camp.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the bands they had this year though?
No, I haven't seen the bands. Well, last year Eric July played with Backwards. That was cool.
That was the whole bit.
That was it. Oh, there's no bands this year. There's just nothing. It's a guy with spoons.
Well, if it was like
they brought the guy with spoons back.
If it was like a festival and it was just like Molly and and techno music, you'd probably get a ton of chicks to come out.
Look, I can't say whether or not there will or not be a Molly or any other hard drugs there. I will say that they weren't there last year. Not that I would know or asked as many times as I could, as many people I could ask. But it seemed like there was a dearth of it, and I agree that could have something to do with the hot chick turnout.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I have no idea. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm going just because the reason I decided to go was I saw all the pictures from last year with Johnny and you and Mark all out there, and
Johnny and his bright red face.
Yeah. Well, Johnny can drink a little bit.
He can drink. He can't drink as much as the Lions. I can tell you that. I can tell you that straight up.
But I was looking at it going, man, why didn't I go last year? So that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm going, is because I just don't want to miss out on the party. That's honestly
we got to guilt Johnny, or Johnny Rocket Adams, of course, from the what is he? God, I'm blanking on the name now.
Johnny Rocket Podcast.
Not the Johnny
the Launchpad.
No, it's the Launchpad. No,
Media.
I always think the old name, and I have to remind myself the new name.
He's actually doing quite a bit now. He started a media company, and he's trying to put something legit together. And
he's just got married, right?
Yeah, just got married.
Well, that's his excuse for not going to Porcfest.
It only took him, what is he, like 60? So
yeah, I think he looks a solid 70, but I think he's a good looking 80.
There's only one married person in this room.
That is true.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's true. I'm the only statist here that went down that path currently.
Approval,
yeah.
Got the
Sarah and I we do not have the approval paperwork.
Well, what did you have? Your fucking parakeets marry you? What do you have out there?
No, we just live together. I
mean, you can have a relationship without a license.
What's the difference? Is she shows up every night? She doesn't sleep around. You don't sleep around, or maybe you do.
Are we talking about the birds? Are we still talking about the birds?
What I'm saying is,
we're talking about the birds.
What I'm saying is, what's the difference? That's the between living with somebody and being married. Like,
well, we just don't have
nothing.
that paperwork, right?
Well, yeah,
like Brian does.
You don't get the discount from the state.
I would love it if the state kicks in the door as you're fucking.
I'm not a coupon shopper.
Can I see your papers?
I brought my coupon, my marriage license. I get 20% off, like AARP.
That's actually most marriages. You get 20% off. That's all you get to see of nudity after a couple of years.
Yeah.
But bum. See, sitting down, hilarious.
Wait, did we start already?
Yeah, this is. Oh, should I do the intro again?
That one, same one. Over.
I'll do the intro one more time. Okay, so we're shooting the shit, but we can talk about some topics. Do you guys have anything top of mind you want to talk about? Because I have some shit, as I mentioned earlier, we could get into preordained, but if you got something top of the mind you want to talk about, it's libertarian, we could do it.
This is your world, boss.
Yeah, is there some kind of,
you want another funny story?
Infighting drama we can talk about?
Is that why you said that?
That's why I said it.
Fucking Stapleton. He's fucking calling back my own stories to me.
I told that story to a friend of mine.
Wait, well, let me tell the story. Hold on.
Yeah. We still say it back and forth to each other.
It's fucking hilarious. I'm Boldin. I think you even heard this. So, yeah, I do public relations for a living. I used to work for a company where we represented Robert Evans, the big film producer, and he's friends with Jack Nicholson. So, not Nicholson. So I'm at a party at Robert Evans' house, whatever he called it. There's some special name for the house he has in the fucking hills. And my duties are done, and I'm pretty fucking drunk because it's open bar, walking around. I swear to God, Craig Kilborn wanted to punch me in the face. But guess who's working now, Craig? Me. You fucking hack. So anyway, I'm walking through this little kitchen, and there's like a door on one side, door on the other side, and just stumbling through, and I come to the doorway, and right there is Jack Nicholson. And I'm just so kind of drunk and dumb and young, and I'm not used to, I'm just kind of standing there. We both sit there for a minute looking at each other. And I'm not really thinking that hard of who it is. Like, I recognize
were you in awe? Like, did you run? Because I got to tell you, if I had run in, I love Jack. So if I had stumbled into him on my way through the kitchen to the living room, I'd just be like, what?
I was too drunk to do that.
Okay, all right.
I was just to the drunk point where I was just like, oh.
It was kind of like, what do we do now?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. What do we do now? And I should have obviously moved out of his way. But after what had to have been 2 seconds, he literally takes a step back, gestures grandly, goes, "It's your world, boss."
Do you have video of this?
I went, "Thanks, Jack," and I walked through the door.
Beautiful.
I mean, even if you just have to replay it in your own brain, boss. You wake up, you're a little depressed. All of a sudden, you just hit replay on the old memory. You're like, seriously, my world.
Seriously, fucking funny. So anyway, you're telling your buddy that story.
Yeah. No, and every time, like we say it back and forth now, and it's one of the best stories.
It's awesome. I don't have many great celebrity stories, but that is one of the very few I do have. So, all right. So since it is my world, we were talking about one topic that'd be pretty interesting to throw out there. The United States right now is like setting unprecedented new levels for measles, and the natural presumption would be that the anti-vaxxer movement's had a pretty big impact on that. People deciding they don't want to vaccinate their kids because it might be linked to autism, which I did a podcast saying that that's nonsense. People always tweet at me saying it's not nonsense. I say that the autism link is nonsense. Now, that's not to say that there's not other shit in those vaccines that still may not be great for you. So where do you guys fall if we got this epidemic?
Well, it's clearly caused by the anti-vaccine movement.
Yeah, I mean,
because if you vaccinate your kids, then you don't have that problem.
Right.
It's a bunch of people who, it's a combination of people who haven't been vaccinating their children and immigrants who have come here and who have contracted the measles virus and are spreading it, because there's no booster shots, but I don't think the vaccine is good for more than 15 years or something. I'd have to look up what it is, what the measles vaccine is. I think measles.
Well, MMR is good. I think because I had that when I was young. Because I haven't gotten a re-up on that.
No, nobody gets it. Nobody gets a re-up. You get it when you're a kid, and then you don't ever get it.
Eliminates it because we're good. We're all immune.
And that's the thing, is that as long as the kid gets it, it, then you don't get it into adulthood. And as long as you're not bringing people with measles into the country, then you don't really have a problem. But I think the outbreak is absolutely specifically because we have an anti-vaxxer movement. And I think that you are absolutely 100% correct in saying that originally there was a tie to the vaccination and the mercury in it and the causing of brain damage and things like that. Depending on who you talk to, that's still a problem. I think that has largely been overblown, and I think some of the problems that they see with like autism and kids like that, and some of the increases in that sort of damage to kids' brains has more to do with accurately diagnosing it or overdiagnosis than it is any sort of like vaccination.
Honestly, or even just like, there's so many wireless communications, there's so many different things going on that we don't even know the impacts of at this point. Who's to say that, all the 4G technology, and it's just conspiracy theory shit now, but who's to say that all these different communications and interactions and radiation, all that shit isn't also impacting developmental aspects of brain function? But
I think the bigger question is, okay, we know that I think we can make the statement definitively that the anti-vaxxer movement has caused the outbreak or has contributed largely to the outbreak.
I would agree.
Yeah? Okay?
Yeah, I would agree.
So the question becomes, should the state get involved as a preventative measure and require people to vaccinate their children in the same way it requires them to educate them and all that stuff? So, I mean, that's the libertarian question that you have to answer. And I honestly haven't touched it. No? I haven't touched it because at the end of the day, I have to say no, but you want people to make responsible choices. And the question is, this is the bigger issue that I have is, okay, you choose not to vaccinate your kid, and your kid gets the measles and ends up infecting another kid or another woman, say an older woman whose vaccine is worn off. What is the liability there?
Right, yeah.
Because there has to be some way.
Measles reparations.
Yeah,
Kamala Harris is already on top of that.
Look, that's what I'm saying is there has to be some way for you to go back and say, look, you didn't vaccinate your kid. Right. And how do you make that tie?
How do you tie it? It's like kind of like air pollution where you say, okay, how am I going to know who's infected necessarily? You can't
Rothbard covered that in For a New Liberty, like with air pollution, it'd probably be the same issue. It's like whatever you can be proven to be responsible for.
Yeah.
Did either of you guys get measles? I had measles as a kid.
You had measles?
I had measles, mumps, I had chicken pox.
How old are you though?
I'm 46.
Were you raised in this country?
Okay, so no, a lot of kids got measles for a long time. It was a very common
thing.
The
whole
fucking
game.
Chicken pox twice, and you're only supposed to get it once.
That's almost impossible. Did they just throw you into a fucking den?
Well, I was raised Catholic,
syringes?
So there's probably some kind of issue there.
Maybe
God's punishing you for being Catholic.
Jesus, that's rough. So you coming from that standpoint of having had all that shit.
So I had measles.
Would you recommend people get vaccinated against?
Well, it sucked. And so did mono. Mono sucked too.
I had mono. I had mono as well.
I had mumps and mono back to back, which was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get the vaccine. No. I guess if I'm thinking about it, but I survived. I guess the question really is how many people die? What's the mortality rate on measles? And I don't really know much about this topic but from my understanding, since it's making so much news and I start reading shit about it, is that people don't die from measles unless they're in like a third world country, because once you get it, there is medicine to be able to deal with it.
Right, but it's also like, I mean, if you, and I agree with that, you shouldn't have.
So if I give someone
more
pneumonia,
serious diseases though, like polio and like these other places that the diseases we thought were eradicated are now back. And that's the scary thing is, well,
I don't think anyone ever would make the claim that something was eradicated.
Well, they say effectively eradicated.
Yeah, which is different, right? Scientifically.
But now that they are making a comeback, and like, God, there was something like whooping cough for babies, which can be lethal.
I have not had whooping cough or lupus.
There's a challenge out there for all of you listeners. Who can give Michael Boldin whooping cough first? I will give you $50 for Lions of Liberty store. You can buy 2 T-shirts.
Every one of my kids had whooping cough at one point.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. They absolutely did. I mean, you can't diagnose it. It's just the doctor saying, yeah, I think that's whooping cough.
Yeah.
But, my bigger thing, and I think for libertarians, that the point I always try and make when it comes to this stuff is there tends to be a belief by libertarians that every single problem can be fixed by the free market. Every single problem can be fixed by some sort of anarcho-capitalist mentality. And the fact is that there are some things that free market system does a very poor job of managing. And one of them is a situation like this, where, okay, my kid got measles. It gave measles to another kid. How do I prove that? What's the cost of that? How do you define the damage that's done by say an elderly person who contracts this virus, and now pain and suffering associated with it? I mean, how do you make those calculations, and how reasonable is it that a free market system would do an effective job of solving it? In the same way that you have pollution, right? How do you, again, if some large corporation poisons the water and it flows downstream and kills 100 head of cattle, how do you make that case? Well, I mean, these are the problems that my point is, the free market doesn't always fix every problem, and so it's okay to say that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I have a thought on that, actually. I think in the theoretical sense, because I know if I were having this conversation online, I'd have 500 ANCAPs explain to me how, in theory, the market would handle this. In theory. But, like, if we're thinking about libertarianism or ANCAPistan as a technology, right? Like, you don't have new technology just come in and take over old technology. When cars first came out, they didn't just have paved roads. They were operating on infrastructure built for horses. So even if we're thinking about in theory in the future, how do you apply that, a libertarian view on something like this in the current state of society that we live in? I don't have an answer to that. I mean, it almost sounds like overwhelming, the questions that you bring up, Jason, about like, how do you determine, like, who caused this? What's the value? What? And there is a justice system, justice in courts that handles this, but it's garbage, right?
Well, broken. I will say, the one thing I feel pretty confident. I'm armored for fucking battle in almost every single way. The one thing, and I'll tell you, I was arguing with my wife's father at
that's a smart choice. That's always a real smart choice. Always a good idea.
As you do
when you have the choice.
Oh man,
well, he's actually he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a pretty down to earth guy. Like, you can actually
just
talk
to him.
He's not
right.
He's not like a nut that's just a screaming raging liberal. But having a conversation, but he did get me, and he's an incredibly intelligent guy, also a lawyer, who also is a fucking sea captain. He's a lawyer. He's a lawyering sea captain. So. But I was talking to him, and he got me on the one thing which I didn't really have a great answer for.
He's funny when he's sitting.
I know, right?
Like, he actually is funny right now. We're drinking.
If you just wind him up and let him go, he does all right.
For all we know, people who are listening are thinking, like, this is not funny. But we're thinking it's the funniest shit we've ever heard.
I don't care about my listeners. You know that. That's why I'm the best.
6 Guinnesses in.
Yeah, exactly. Look, guys,
I'm a third of a sake.
My listeners respect me
me
because I don't respect them. That's the key to this show.
You have listeners.
Some.
Not like Jason.
Anyway, Jason is out there whoring himself out for sponsors. We don't do that.
That is true, yeah.
We'd love to. If you're out there, we'd love to.
We'd love to whore for you.
Ourselves out for you. Just get Brian at lionsofliberty.com.
We will do anything, literally anything for sponsorship dollars.
By the way,
what does all of this have to do with Porcfest?
Alex at ammo.com said to lower your ad rates. He'd love to advertise with you.
Well,
I was talking to him today.
What are your rates?
They're too high. Jason Stapleton's rates are too damn high, party.
It's $700 for a 60-second spot.
Once.
That's
amazingly awesome.
So he charges the same for sex, though. So and the same thing, though. But he's not 60 seconds.
But he seems to be getting more ad work.
No, you buy me dinner and you can sleep with me.
All right, hold on. I just want to finish this point up. So talking to my wife's dad, though, but he got me on air pollution. Because I said, I don't have a good answer for you. And I'll be honest, and I'm not going to die on the cross and argue a point where I don't know the answer. And I just don't, there's not a great libertarian answer for that. I'm sure somebody will tweet at me, but it's still, I've read a lot of literature on this shit, Rothbard and everything I could read about it. And there's not a great answer for it if you can't prove it. And that's what I was saying. I don't know, man. You might have a point there, but that doesn't mean empirically I agree with the state having governance over all things in this manner. Right. And that's where this question comes around too. And like, I agree with you. I'm sure I agree with Michael too. I am 100% opposed to the state mandating vaccines. And I do think the free market provides an alternative to that, in that if you didn't have a school system like we do, where the majority of people are going to public school, you would have a free market system where
required to go to that public school in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, and even here in California, the idea of homeschooling is just, it's almost impossible for most people.
Yeah.
So it's just not really an option like it is in other states.
Right.
So they're forced to go to a place, and then they're told, in order to go to this place that we're forcing you to go, you have to participate in this vaccine program. So the whole system, the root cause is the force, I think.
No, exactly right.
So if
man.
all the unvaccinated people want to go to the same place, that would make more sense.
You know, but I gotta say though, from a economic perspective, if you're opening a school just for unvaccinated kids, probably going to close pretty quick.
Well,
maybe the tuition is higher than $700
student
per minute.
ratio would be great. It would be like one teacher to two students.
It that way, but that's pretty outrageous.
If Jason can get $700 a minute for an ad from ammo.com at $500 per minute for ammo. Right?
Here's what's funny is that you talk to guys. I'm going to let you guess what it costs for a 60-second spot on, say, Tim Ferriss's show.
Oh man, I can't even imagine. Like $10,000?
I think it's $64,000.
Oh man,
a minute for a minute ad for him to mention your shit on his show. And you think I'm outrageous? I heard some of those numbers because I was talking with some of the guys who every year they send me to the American Music Awards just as like hey, we appreciate you, which is nice, but. I was there this last year, and I was talking with some of the advertising companies, agencies, and they're like, "Yeah, man, like it's super expensive." And I guess Bill Burr is another one that they deal with a lot. And Bill Burr, if you listen to his show, he fucks up the ads all the time. But he reads like in the ad, there'll be a spot where it says, "Talk about a personal experience you had."
He reads that in the ad
all the time.
That's actually brilliant.
It's awesome. Great. No, and what was funny was they were like, "Yeah, man, the advertisers get so pissed off when he does that." And I'm like, "Dude, that's the best."
They probably remember that forever.
Yeah, they will. They'll be like, but he reads the notes to the guy who's supposed to read.
No, it's hilarious. But
the closest person, the person that I know that's the closest to making $64,000 a minute. So.
Well, I'm working on it.
You're going to
be my only friend. $64,000 a minute.
You can be the tide that lifts all boats, right? We get Libertarians mainstream. All right. So, where do you, any final statements on this issue? Because actually, that leads us into another question I want to bring up about Libertarians.
It's the basic libertarian answer for everything. It's just don't have government force on this.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a private property scenario, which doesn't exist, unfortunately, and so many of these questions are hard to answer, but in theory, of course, it's like, okay, if the unvaccinated people want to all go together or vaccinated people want a verification from their school, wherever they're sending their kids, we don't want anyone there that is unvaccinated. Mm-hmm. Of course, then you'll hear the anti-vaxxers say, or the pro-choice vaccine people say, well, if everyone's vaccinated, you don't have to worry about it. So, I mean, there's so many different. What am I even talking about?
They would make that argument.
Nothing to do with your calves.
My beautiful calves. Anything left to say on this?
No, that was it. I mean, I think it's one of those very difficult issues that a lot of people pretend like they have an answer to in theory, but in practice, it's a much more complicated issue, and nobody wants to talk about it like it is. So, I agree with you. I don't think anybody should be mandating that you inject chemicals into your children. But I think that you need to recognize as if you're a libertarian who doesn't agree with that you have a moral and ethical responsibility to shield others from the downside of decisions that you make. And that's something that goes back to personal responsibility that we talk about all the time, is that you cannot, if you want to live your life that way, that's fine, but you don't have a right to put somebody else's child at risk because you do.
So
exactly. That's all I would say about it.
And I'll say this one last thing. I think I said this on a podcast randomly I was doing about this topic too, but and I'll tell you one of the things that makes me even more afraid as we get closer to, people saying, "Oh, mandate everybody gets vaccinations." Look, if the state can inject me with shit, we're in an era of like micronization and like, nanotechnologies right around the corner. I don't know. I mean, like, if everybody's getting the same injection, I don't know what's fucking in it. I'd rather have everything be free market in that sense, where I can go to a doctor, get verified and again, what am I going to do? Have a fucking test? But at least I have some idea what's being put in me because God knows what the government's put in me. Tracking, fucking, I don't know, hormones to turn the frogs gay like Alex Jones talks about. I'm just saying, as we get farther down the line, it gets more terrifying to have a government inject you with anything in a mandatory fashion.
I want to see if that works.
Just with me or with the general population?
We can try it on you. I don't want to try it with me.
I've actually seen it happen.
Well, I've fucked several male frogs, if that helps you guys.
That's not helpful.
No, it's real.
That's not. It's real?
Yeah,
it's
real.
Serious?
He's seen my blog.
The gay frogs?
Oh, I think you meant my... Oh, never mind. Retract it. And now I'll edit that out. But if you did want to go to fogfrucking.com, and I spelled that specifically, it's fogfrucking.com, guys, to avoid the censors. That's my website where I fuck frogs. Fogfrucking.
You're scaring me, man.
You're not a frog.
Next issue.
Fine. All right, so we're talking about you. I was saying, I root for you to get as much money as possible. As like I said, the tide that can help raise boats. And in that manner, though, do you guys think overall is libertarianism gaining in popularity, losing popularity, and do you think libertarians are actually getting cooler?
Are you talking about
not just as like libertarian concepts being viewed as cool? I mean, actual people you meet that are libertarians. Are we losing the old cliche, neckbeard woodsman, and actually attracting people that are a little bit hipper and funnier and talk to people like human beings? Because I have an opinion on it, but I want to hear what you guys think.
You want to take you want me to field this one? Okay, I'll start. I'll start then.
Guys, spend 7 more minutes discussing. This is golden content, and I love it.
And we've got a radio break at the bottom of the hour.
But I think you're right. I think that people are becoming more willing to talk about being something other than a hardcore liberal or a hardcore conservative. And I think that's largely because, and I spend a lot of time since we live here in California with people who would consider themselves to be liberal. And one of the things I hear over and over again is, I don't know what it is that they believe now, but they're way too far outside of what of what I think.
Oh, yeah.
And the more I talk about libertarianism and kind of what I believe, the more they're like, yep, that makes sense to me. Yep, I'm for that. And so I think that libertarianism is really, in a lot of ways, becoming the alternative to what are two very extreme party lines. And I like that because it makes it easier to pitch to people. Now, whether or not is it gaining in popularity? No, I think it's losing popularity. I think we had a massive chance in 2016 to make a huge inroads, and the party and the people inside the party really screwed that up in who they put forward as a nominee and the way they positioned themselves. And I said it when he got nominated. I said he's not going to pull 5% of the vote, and I said whatever he pulls will be the best that they pull for the next several years.
But Bill Weld's still out there. He's going to primary Trump, guys.
Well, you know what?
Gary's a very nice guy. Gary is a very
I'm
nice
sure he is, but he's
so are you, but I wouldn't vote for you either.
That's the first time
I would vote for you, Michael.
I mean, that's
but nice. No, so I mean, I'll finish up with this and then I'll let you talk, Mike. But I think that they're going to have a lot of trouble because in 2016 we had an opportunity to really provide a third option and to get some of the conservatives to come over and vote on a Libertarian Party ticket. And because we didn't put forward a very good candidate and we didn't have a very good platform, they ended up going with the Republican. This year, in 2020, when they start looking, everybody's going to be backing the conservative candidate because they won't want whoever the left-wing candidate is. They'll vote the party line. They won't take the risk.
And if you're left-leaning, you probably are still hating Trump.
Yeah, that's right.
For failure or not, probably still hating Trump, and you're going to vote for the Democrat, whoever they... I
would guess, it's very early, but I would guess the progressives will put up a rather hardcore left winger to go up against
Not Biden.
Trump.
You don't think it's going to be another
it's not
Hillary?
Biden doesn't stand a chance in
I
hell.
have creepy Uncle Joe on the list to talk about. I want to talk about a little bit later. Him and I want to talk about Bernie and Biden.
Okay.
We'll get into that.
Yeah,
though.
but that's to wrap up. That's my thought on it. I think they're going to put up a more left wing candidate. That's a strong candidate to fight against Trump. Somebody who can go toe to toe in the dirt with him.
Right.
And nobody is going to choose a third party candidate.
But
in
you didn't answer my question.
Libertarianism in general. You know, you did.
No, not just libertarian in generalism. In generalism, my shizzle. Snoop Dogg in the house.
More whiskey.
Libertarian drink. Oh, I'm going to have several more drinks. You don't even know what's forthcoming. So, no, but are libertarians as a people
getting cool? Less uncool?
Less uncool, less fucking nerdy, less and I've been yelling at people for this for years, less like concerned with stats and trying to be more likable, god damn it. Able to win the hearts and minds.
Yep. I think we're doing a much better job of that. A much better job. There's still a lot of problem children out there. I still think that the libertarians are largely, I mean, you can just go into any libertarian forum and you can tell just how off the rails a lot of the people are who are in it. But I think the voices inside the libertarian libertarianism are better than they used to be. You got guys like you and me and Mike and Mark and Johnny, and all these guys are really people who raise the standard, who are not out there trying to win arguments, who are actually trying to win converts, who are trying to bring people in and spread a message. And I think all of that is positive for what we're doing.
Michael, your thoughts?
Well, I think Jason hit on something really interesting about how the ideas are really catching on. And I think there is, like, if you're talking to somebody, you were saying how if you're talking to somebody, what about this way? And people in general are like, yeah, that sounds good. I'm on board with that. And at least in my experience, people are definitely on board with something that's different than has been happening all along. And in general, libertarianism provides something extremely different than what we've experienced. So I think it's gaining, at least in popularity, even if not in name, because libertarianism in name still has that kind of, that problem associated with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that still exists. So for me, at least when in my work, I don't even focus on that as a term. I focus on winning converts, like what you're talking about, but based on an issue by issue basis. Because if you can find a leftist who says, you know what, you're way more anti-war than any of those leftist politicians that I've ever heard of, or you're way more anti-police state or anti-surveillance, what else do you have to say? I feel like that's a far more effective way. Not that that was necessarily your question, but I think that's how people are really catching on, that they're more willing to hear other ideas if you're way more badass on the idea that's important to them in the first place. And libertarians always are. Yeah. Horton it was always the out left the left and outright the right. And you can always kill that with a libertarian message.
Well, and I think also, man, we're getting to the point where, and I actually, for the first time in my goddamn life, actually had a buddy of mine who's just hyper goddamn progressive, and to the point where I couldn't even talk to him.
Really? That's all I've ever had.
Yeah, well, I know, man. Well, in LA, that's all you get. But I finally got him to listen and acquiesce on an argument, because I was just hanging around watching football. It was like the NFC Championship game or whatever, and they're hanging out drinking, and we start talking a little bit about politics, and we get into the whole issue of poverty and welfare and education. And I just made the simple point to him, which I think we need to reinforce as libertarians. Am I boring you, Jason?
Yep.
Yawning in the goddamn microphone.
Could you back up like 15 seconds? Like, just go back to that spot before the break.
Yes, okay. So, anyway, the point I was making to him is, education, poverty, all this shit. And I just, and he's like, okay. I said, where do you think the spending's going? We're at all-time highs in both, more than any other country. And I said, where's the poverty level? Same. Where's the education? Bottom, 25 of the country, whatever in the world, whatever it may be. And I said, look, man, I'm not saying libertarianism has the answer, because I don't know, because we never fucking tried it, except maybe in the opening years of the country, and that seemed to go pretty well. But, when have we tried it? And I said,
except for that whole slavery thing.
Hey, everybody was doing it. They're like snap bracelets in the 90s. Everybody was doing it. It doesn't excuse it.
I'm the one on the SPLC.
It doesn't excuse it. I know, which is so fucking. I'm so happy they're getting their fucking.
Oh no, I want them to be at the top of their game. I use that as a fundraiser.
Well, that's good. But anyway,
if the SPLC is crap, then my listing there means nothing. So
that is true. That is true. But just to sum my thought up here, point being, I told him that you're spending more money. It's done nothing. We've tried your way literally for what? 50 years? It ain't working, man. Even if I'm not right, shouldn't we try something else? And he said, yeah. He said, yeah, no, you're exactly right. We should try something else. You're right.
Issue by issue, I think a lot of people get that. And a great local example, I don't know if either of you guys ever followed this, but the street food cart, hot dog cart issue here in LA. For years, they've been trying to take this mostly immigrant population who sells hot dogs on the street outside of nightclubs and things like that and make it illegal. They've tried to ban them and shut them down.
By the way, did they kill off food carts?
They tried to.
They were their food trucks because I swear to God, I used to see a million.
That's what I was talking about, food carts.
No, you're talking about food carts.
I said food trucks.
No, so food carts.
No, you said food carts, but food trucks, though. I swear to God, I used to see a million different fantastical food trucks everywhere, and now I don't see them.
I mean, you're in Hawthorne.
I feel like they cracked them. No, dude, even when I was in Culver City and going around, there used to be
the West Side. I mean,
the West Side's where it's at.
That is true.
Just because you live here in Little Tokyo, everybody come, you can find them here. Because you have an Asian fetish doesn't mean that where I live isn't cool, dude.
I'm human. We'll be back after Traffic on the 8s.
We'll be back after these words from the next Godzilla movie.
So issue by issue. So the food cart issue, they tried to shut this down. The city tried to shut down food carts for a long time. And general grassroots average people rallied to the fence of these people who were operating without a license, without permission. And finally, LA City authorized it. They said, basically, this thing that you've been doing for 2 decades, now you can go ahead and do it. So I think in situations like this, people are really on board with the, quote, free market, even if not in name again. So I'm just
I just always try and point out, listen, that we know what socialist and communist states do. And any rational person who isn't a complete kook will say, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, a lot of death, a lot of starvation, terrible thing, right? We also know what built the greatest nation the world has ever seen, America, and it was a free market and and it doesn't mean it was perfect. There was a lot of problems with it, but it created more wealth and more opportunity for more people. What we know is that if we focus on trying to make things freer and more open and easier to do, that everyone's life improves on the margin. And if we the more we tilt towards totalitarianism, to statism, the worse things become. And so I always try and lean towards how do I create a freer and more open market and for more people. And when I talk about that, that's something that everybody can agree with, because first of all, it sounds like you're being reasonable, which is what you really want. Now, it's kind of like saying my core philosophy about life and politics can be wrapped up in one sentence: don't hurt people and don't take their stuff, right? When you say that to people, like, I totally agree with that. Well, once you've got them to admit that, dude, you got them hooked.
Yeah.
Now they've literally painted themselves into a corner, and it's just a matter of issue by issue saying, well, you did say you don't hurt people and you don't take their stuff. Here's why I don't agree with that. And like, well, they may not agree with you. They may still put it off, and they may say, well, yeah, I agree, but they cannot deny that your logic is sound, that your reasoning is sound, and that you're not doing it just because you're a cruel person.
Right, and libertarians have that concept. Like, that's what I was talking about at the LA convention when you heard me speak. Right. Is that we got the rap, and I made the same point as to my buddy. We got this rap of not caring, and it's not that we don't care. It's that we want to try something different to actually help.
Your first political speech?
That was my first political speech.
Dude, it was good. Did anybody get video?
You should always have somebody video it.
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, we didn't.
I know they had someone
there.
streaming. I think
I'm bringing an entire
James
camera crew
was
just
there.
to take pictures of me and video
Nice.
the entire time.
Actually, we have a guy coming to
Stapleton
Porcfest.
has a 4-man crew sitting outside the building, but he didn't pull permits, so they didn't
So they're just standing there.
We did.
I'm just paying them to look around.
Actually, I shouldn't.
The cops were right there. They knew I was coming. Yeah.
We actually have a videographer coming to Porcfest this year. Our buddy Dan Smots from the System is Down pod is coming. We're paying for him. I shouldn't give him a shout out because we're fucking paying for him to go. So, you're
but he's giving you the friends and family discount.
Is that what he calls the hand jobs?
He's usually $700 a minute.
Yeah, he's $700 a minute. We call that callback in the biz. We don't rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of our training. Those epic words from Archilochus can sum up your ability to succeed or fail in business. I want to recommend Conversation Mat Time to our listeners as a way to hone your one-on-one conversation skills in a role-playing session that can help take you to the next level. During 25-minute sessions, you'll work through the best way to approach that raise, that interview, or that relationship with a practiced professional that will provide the confidence and experience you need to get paid what you're worth or take that interpersonal risk you've never been able to conquer. Just like in jiu-jitsu, the difference between a novice and a black belt is mat time. Train to win. Visit conversationmattime.com and take advantage of a free 15-minute consultation just for listeners of this show. Okay, wait. So, but what you were just saying though, is like, you see the way the free market plays out versus socialism. Does it blow your fucking mind to kind of get into this topic of Biden and Sanders? We're literally right now,
Trump is a socialist.
So, Trump. Trump's a weird fucking cat. Don't get me wrong, but he's not openly calling for socialism.
He doesn't use it by name.
He doesn't.
But he is a police state socialist.
I completely agree there. I completely agree there.
In some form.
Yeah, they are.
Don't get rid of my Social Security.
Oh yeah, Trump's
my
a big fan of Medicare.
Spend more than the rest of the world on military.
And Trump not fucking vetoing the Yemen thing. Which, by the way, so we were talking about the candidates coming out, right? I'll throw this out as a side remark because I want to make the central remark. But Trump vetoing the Yemen thing, that is going to fucking I really thought he could not lose as long as the economy doesn't tank. I said he's going to get it because the Democrats are going so far afield of the regular American. He's going to run away with it, despite what these media assholes say. Once he vetoed that Yemen vote. Stupidest thing, not only because I'm morally opposed to it, but stupidest thing he could fucking do.
Nobody fucking cares about it.
Dude, I'm telling you, that shit's going to come back to him.
No, it will not. No, absolutely it will not.
It's evidence of a president continuing to murder women and children, and the Democrats will use it.
Understand, nobody cares about Yemen. I agree,
they care more about transgender bathrooms.
If you try and attack the president on the Yemen issue, he's going to bring up the fact that Obama was dropping bombs on him all day long, and the Democrats were all in favor of it. It cannot possibly. It is right. It cannot possibly benefit the Democrats to talk about Yemen. They're going to pretend like that doesn't even exist.
They're going to say, you can't say Yemen. You have to say, women.
That's almost like saying that the anti-war movement during the early Iraq years, which I was a part of, wasn't just an anti-George Bush thing. Clearly they're hypocrites.
We all absolutely.
They're
there's no
full of shit. And Trump is a brilliant marketer. I think he is brilliant about getting messages out, building coalitions, even if it's not, again, in name. He does it. Yes. He knows the things to say.
Yes, he does.
But that doesn't mean that the fake anti-war left, which I think it's starting to come up again. It's starting to become an issue.
Well, Bernie Sanders is using it. He can actually run as the only anti-war candidate, really.
Bernie Sanders doesn't stand a cold chance in hell. Neither does Elizabeth Warren.
Warren definitely doesn't.
Your candidate has not emerged yet. I'm confident of that.
Is it going to be hair sniffing Joe?
No, it will not be Joe.
Creepy 7-year-old girl, titty grabbing, hair sniffing Joe.
The neocons would love Biden, though.
Well, they do love Biden, I'm sure. That's going to be the point. But I want to say, isn't it an insane position in the world we live in? We're literally watching Venezuela go to shit, eat itself alive under socialism, right? Where people can't get fucking toilet paper. The government controls the water supply because they're so fucked. And at the same time, we're watching Sanders and Harris and Warren call for socialism. Yeah, do you ever think in your life you would see the disconnect, the cognitive dissonance with people being able to root for a Bernie Sanders while seeing Venezuela literally fucking fall apart in front of your eyes?
Well, we had there were lakes on fire in the former Soviet Union.
Lakes on fire.
I don't think that's the words.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to hear that like 10 times. I'm going to hear this all night.
I can't remember the words. You got me with lakes on fire, though. So, lakes on fire in the Soviet Union. Although Cleveland also had a river on fire.
I don't think I can ever, by the way. I don't think I can ever shake that.
Those shitholes.
I can't ever shake that. That song is playing in my head forever.
Now that's it? That's all you can think about?
Well, the thing about Venezuela is the worst thing that we could have done was get involved in that and to start to try and manipulate the situation.
But you knew we would. We can't not.
Right? We should have just left it alone because now what Maduro is using is they're saying, well, it's America. The reason this looks like this is because of America. And if we had just stayed out, it would have imploded on its own. They would have had absolutely nothing to say about it. And you can absolutely I have chronicled that fall of that nation since I started my show in 2014. We've been talking about it. And at every stage I said, okay, here's what's happening now. And the reason I'm doing this is I want there to be a record of it. We have a living, breathing Like most of socialism that we understand about what happens to socialism and communism is historically based. It's something we have to read about. We can't touch it.
Right.
And Venezuela is happening right now. It's something your children can be learning about today, and it's something that we can look at as a model for what socialism creates. And these same people who 10 years ago, that's how quickly it collapsed. 10 years ago, they had the largest oil reserves on earth.
Yep.
They had one of the most profitable and successful countries in the world. And in a matter of a decade, it descended into absolute tyranny, despotism, starvation, and murder, and poverty.
And it's not even something. It's not even arguable why it happened. As soon as they started nationalizing the oil industry, everything fell apart. And it's like, and it's what we always say as libertarians, as like when the government takes over these things, they don't have the incentive to upkeep. They don't have the incentive to technologically advance them. They don't know how to do it correctly. You saw these things, the oil industry fall apart.
But I think
everything
this
started
is
breaking down.
obvious to us.
It is, but
And I
not to your
don't
average
think
person.
It is not obvious to other people. And then when you add the problem of U.S. interventionism, which creates an easy talking point to say this long history of imperialist action,
which you'd think we would love, by the way. You know, it's like we're walking the fucking edge here, where it's like, okay, you guys, yes, we agree with you. The long history of America's imperialism is to blame for almost all the world. Like you were talking about on your show recently, the blowback instance of why all these things happen across the world because of our imperialism.
Yeah.
But this ain't the one. Like this ain't that case.
This is not it.
As someone who's watched this so closely, could U.S. imperialism have escalated or sped it up? Made it worse, faster?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Sanctions for sure.
Doubt, yeah.
So in a way, the U.S. foreign policy is playing into the pro-socialist narrative once again.
Yeah, and that's, you hit the nail on the head again and again and again. They do that. I've been a member of the 10th Amendment Center for I don't know a couple of years now. 2 or 3 years now. Yeah, and
I think my credit card, I put it in there, but it expired. I'll update that.
I know. I just assume
you're not getting $700 a minute.
I just assume that you keep billing me because I really do like being. I like
somebody else
because you guys do. 10th Amendment does a much better job of really passing information than anybody else does. They really do a very good job of like you said, topic by topic, explaining things in a way that allows people to get a hold of it. Because the talking point issue is very difficult for us because most of what we understand is not easily seen. You talk about economic issues, political issues that happen over time. One of the things that libertarians do not do well, one of the things that candidates don't do well as libertarians is create a platform where what they believe is easily digestible into sound bites. We just don't do it well. And if I had one piece of advice for whoever the libertarian candidate is, it would be that you have to find a way to make your points pithy because nobody wants a complicated answer.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It doesn't matter whether here's the thing, your hardcore libertarian audience is going to vote for you anyway. So you don't need to worry about that. If they listen to your response and they're like, well, yeah, but that's not totally true. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Because they're going to vote for you anyway. You need to be honed in on that audience that's doing their drive-by voting and is going to be determining it in the last 4 months prior to the election based on how the debates go.
Yeah.
So if you can't condense that argument down into something that's easy for people to understand, you're not going to make any headway at all. Now, I think this deck is stacked against the libertarians this year, next year anyway, but that's the best chance of us actually increasing the number of people who are responsive to the message.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that. I mean, it's like, in a way, it kind of makes you think of, both Ron Paul and Rand Paul. I mean, Ron Paul obviously won a lot of people over, but he would get
into
over
3 decades.
Yeah, he
though.
did. That's
consistently.
Yeah,
he did
consistently.
3 decades.
But if you're not, and he won a lot of people over. Like Dave Smith talks about this. I'm not sure where you guys your personal stories lie with Ron Paul. He won me over too. I was introduced to him by Mark, but even after I was already convert, I would see him in debates and I'd see him speak. And I would just shake my head because he'd dive into these deep conversations, these deep talking points on how things work and the interaction and the theory. And I was like, You're losing everybody, man.
Yeah.
I know it because now I'm your fan. I've read into it. You're losing every casual observer. You're losing right now.
What I love about Ron's a god in my mind.
Of course.
For no other in this, and I don't say that because everybody else thinks that's what you're supposed to say.
I know you have a daddy
he
fetish.
has been. Yes, I do. Yeah, I did. But here's the thing. Ron has been doing this for 3 or 4 decades now, and he's never been wrong.
Yeah.
If you go back to his stuff in the 80s and listen to him talk, it was always the same, and he was always right. He was right about drugs. He was right about the housing bubble. He was right about the economy. He was right about the wars. He literally, at every major event in history over the last 30 years, he has been right about. And that, to me, if nothing else, that solidifies in my mind that what we believe and what we're striving to achieve is right, because he has been right and he's been unrelenting in his messaging. Now, the fact is, I thought Ron was a crazy old man until I read his books, because the problem with Ron is that he does not come off when he speaks as a person who is sane.
Well, he does have that high. He does have that high.
Mind you, the message is so different than everything we've been taught.
I know, but here's the thing. Here's the
everything
thing.
is crazy.
But also,
I thought Ron was a crazy old man until I started reading. I started reading about gold, and that led me to Ron Paul's Revolution. And when I bought the book, I remember thinking, this guy's a crazy old man, but I'm going to read his book anyway. And I read it, and I'm like, this is what I have believed for the last 4 or 5 years, but could never articulate. Ron just put into a book.
Is it public knowledge who actually wrote that book?
No, I thought he did. Did he not write it? Ron Paul's Manifesto? Who wrote it?
Who wrote it?
I had no idea. Did he not write it?
I mean,
Breaking news. Come on, Michael.
No, you got to tell me,
you gotta
man.
say it, man. Come on.
I can do that.
Yeah, you tell me.
You can't tease it, not say it. Come on.
After this, tease that one.
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
No, absolutely not. You're going to tell me who wrote that book.
I will.
Come on.
You tell me right now.
I really don't know.
You're
Who wrote
so
it?
full of shit.
Oh, yeah, come on, dude. Yeah, you are.
Come on, man.
Come on, dude.
Who did?
You
You're
guys
telling
are
me-
my favorite people
Hang
I've
on.
ever
Well,
known.
Ron Paul oversaw it, so it doesn't matter. Come on.
You're
Who wrote
telling
it?
me that
Ron Paul has a ghostwriter? Yeah, of course.
Of course, everybody is a ghostwriter. I don't think Ron Paul's a busy senator. He's busy saying no to shit. He doesn't have time to write a book.
But you're telling me that the book that really converted me to libertarianism wasn't even written by Ron Paul?
Peter Schiff.
No, it's probably a different
Is it Peter
book.
Schiff?
It's probably a different book then.
Is it Peter Schiff?
No.
I can't believe this whole
'Cause he's a
the
big-
audience
'cause he's
is going
such
to
a big
hear
global.
this,
Yeah, this
and they're going to be pissed as
God
hell.
damn it,
well,
Michael,
the
I
thing
swear
is,
to
we're
Jesus.
on 3 separate audio tracks, so there could just be short segments of just dead air.
Michael, spell it out over the course. Randomly say, not randomly, but say the letters in the name in order randomly throughout the next few segments.
Okay.
People can anagram it.
There's a S in there.
There's an
S.
What other letters?
Yes, all of them.
Does it start with S?
What a dick. What a goddamn cock tease. Well, anyway, now I forgot we were talking about overall.
We started with
Fuck you, Michael.
Porcfest.
Fuck you.
We started with Porcfest. All right. Well, fuck it. Next
Just,
topic.
You know what? My whole philosophy now is in question. I don't know if I want to be a
Thanks a
libertarian
lot, Michael.
anymore.
I'm going for
Michael,
Bernie.
what's
From
it
now
worth
on.
to you? What's your philosophy worth to you? Is it worth disillusioning an entire population who base their careers and their
That's right.
philosophies on Ron Paul's book to not tell us who wrote it?
We all know he didn't write the newsletter.
No, he did not write the newsletter. We all know
he's
that.
been having ghostwriters for a long time.
But that was ages ago.
Does anyone have an answer?
I don't
to that?
actually do
Was?
my own podcast.
That was I do know who that is actually.
I found the best voice double in the industry.
That's right. He sounds just like me.
He takes Siri's voice
It's like
and
that
just
guy-
fucking
It's
fucks
like
with
that
it.
guy who took over as the lead singer of Journey.
It's actually
You
a
can't
short
tell the
Asian
difference.
woman. When she came in for the interview, I had no idea.
I do know who wrote his newsletters. I'm blanking on it right now though. But
who do you think wrote them?
no, it's not.
It's not necessarily Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker.
Well, that's one of the rumors.
I'm pretty sure it's Tucker.
Do you even know? I don't think you know. I think it's rumor. I think you think you know, and you don't.
I
really
don't think
know.
I know who wrote the newsletter.
By the way,
No, I'm
Jeffrey
talking about who
Tucker
wrote his
also
book.
was at Porcfest last year.
I think you're.
It could just
I
be
think
full
you're-
of shit.
Yeah, I think
I
you're
may have just
full
made
of it.
that up.
By the way,
to
side
cause a whole
story.
I think you just tried
at
to be
Porcfest, seeing Jeffrey
I'm
Tucker.
trying to be one of these libertarians that's
seeing-
raising the coolness
Hold on,
level, and it's failing.
seeing Jeffrey Tucker, who was, by the way, fun to hang out with. He was
I like
watching us
Jeff
play beer
Tucker.
pong. He was at Porcfest last year. Seeing him hungover as fuck at our hotel, which is like a little walk down the road from the campsite, which is probably where you should try to stay at, by the way. Seeing him hungover as balls eating the shitty continental breakfast in his bow tie was hilarious. After being up talking to drunk off his ass Howie Snowden, who was passed out in the woods for 4 hours.
I love Jeffrey. Every time he came out and he flew out to do the show with me.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, every time I've ever had an interaction with him, he's been nothing but kind and
he was great.
Super friendly with me. If he called me up and was like, "Dude, I need you to do me a favor," I'd be like, "All right, whatever you need." It's just I really like that guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude, man.
Yeah, I've only met him. I've only hung out with him once. It was at Liberty Forum in New Hampshire, maybe like 2012 or something. He was just like same experience.
Great dude.
Super
Great
nice, fun to talk to, really interesting.
Yeah.
And I learned so much in libertarianism from him back when he was working at Mises, right?
Incredibly knowledgeable human being.
All right. Well, here we're coming up on an hour now. I could easily go 2. We'll see what happens. But I know you gentlemen have things to do. Maybe
it's up to you, man.
I mean, I'm at home.
It's your world, boss.
That's true. You are at home.
Under these pants, I'm wearing my jammies.
I actually don't have anywhere.
Aren't you hot? Aren't you sweating?
My jammies?
Are you literally wearing jammies under those pants?
Define jammies.
I want to see it. Boxer shorts.
Your jams.
Hold on. We're gonna see Michael Boldin's. Stapleton, can you live stream this?
Why do you do that? What do you want to?
I want to say. Wait, those are just boxer shorts. Are they long johns?
No.
What do you mean jammies?
Well, I mean, I wear my little panties.
Underpants.
What?
Those are jammies.
Did you just call your underwear panties?
And he also called them.
I wear MeUndies. This next hour is sponsored by MeUndies.com.
Well, they're not jammies. They're just underpants.
You can wear them as anything. They're so comfortable.
Unless you sleep in the
nude.
And
if you like a close shave like I do.
Oh, God. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Those bastards don't pay me. By the way,
I do have a Harry's razor.
By the way, I love listening to I listen to Tom Woods and Bob Murphy. I like Counter Krugman. I listen to the main Tom Woods podcast
too.
A good amount, but I like Counter Krugman more.
The bad part is, so I'm on the Contra Cruise in 2017, and they did a live recording.
You know you can't plug that now. It's in the past. No one's going to show up to see you.
Well, they did. They just did another one.
Unless they're Doctor Whoing.
Yeah,
I know. We were going to take it over. I know, because we were going to take it over,
Tom,
and because these fuckers are all non-aggression principalists, we were going to go there, put up a Lions of Liberty banner, make it into our cruise. What are they going to do?
They can't. They can't do anything.
Can't do anything. Violate libertarian principles.
Yeah, that's right.
Nothing.
Here's the thing: Tom has never talked to me unless I offered to give him money.
Oh, me too. I tweeted at him, and he never
Tom money for a conversation. How many per minute? How much per minute?
I promoted my show on his show when I was.
Oh yeah. We've done that too. We did that too, and he still won't he doesn't retweet anything, doesn't respond. Not to me anyway. He's been on the show.
I would send Tom all kinds of emails that would be ignored, and then I would send one to be like, "Hey, I want to give you some money," and he responded in like 2 minutes. He's like, "Hey, what's up?"
There's a
I've been thinking about
pro
you.
tip.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's been a long time. Yeah, here's my current rates.
Pro tip, guys.
Someone
Put
would
money
offer
symbols in your
me
email.
money to talk to me. And if I could charge
I can
per
give you
minute,
what's in my
whether it was
wallet.
$1 a minute,
Would you like what's in my wallet?
That's pretty good.
Right now, Michael, I'll pay you for an hour of your time.
Yes, I will take it.
Okay. It's absolutely nothing. I have nothing in my wallet. There's nothing in there.
Can I just take the wallet?
No, this is a nice wallet. You cannot have it. No, but I will say this. Look, let's take some punch up. I'm punching up right now. Tom Woods and Bob Murphy. I love Counter Krugman. Tom Woods, nerdiest jokes I've ever heard. Cringing. I cringe every dude. Every time Tom Woods makes a joke, I fucking cringe.
Dude, when I listen,
it is awful. He's so nerdy.
Maybe you're not the best judge because
I am the best judge.
I watch a lot of his speeches, and I think he does a really nice job of mixing humor with. Really,
every time you laugh at one of my jokes now, I have to discount that.
Okay.
Because you've now proven yourself to be comedically
So I'm sorry,
inept.
I was telling a story.
The good news is I
you
don't
were
laugh
telling a
at that
story
many of your
back in
jokes.
2017
fine,
on
Michael.
the Contra Cruise.
Fine. Who were you banging against the rail? Did they fall over and you left them?
They did a
Right? Have you heard this
wonderful
story? It's
live
crazy. He left a woman
recording
to
of
die.
Contra Krugman, and I had to admit that was my first time ever hearing the show. It's fantastic, though.
Oh, no. I love the show. Don't get me wrong. I love the show.
And you don't like the humor? Half of the
just
show
so
is the funny.
nerdy. Oh, God.
It's nerdy, but I keep listening to it.
Cringeworthily. It's just like these. It's like dad jokes that aren't even good jokes.
What's funny?
You're
as
clearly
I don't know,
listening.
He's like, I'll tell you, Bob, you might be jealous of my beard, but one of us is going to shave these beards
With a Harry's razor.
with a. God damn it! Now I have to edit the show, you fucking cocksucker. Just to edit that
Dude,
plug out.
Harry's actually does have the best razors.
Fucking
I love
motherfuckers.
Harry's razors.
What's the edit on
Do
Harry's?
they make a head blade? Because I'm bald as fuck.
They absolutely will. You can use it to shave your head.
No, we're cutting this off. I'm editing this all
butterscotch.
out.
Do you have a issue with
Harrys.com. Use the promo code Stapleton.
No, son of a
Do they
bitch.
sponsor you too?
What's it? Yeah, they do.
Oh,
They're a
badass.
sponsor on the show. Yeah.
Oh.
they're
Well,
a
good for
great
Harry's.
company.
Hey, Harry's guys, if you're listening to this,
I get a cartridge set, I'll get it.
There we go. Cool.
Stapleton.
great.
Promo code Stapleton.
do you guys want to order anything through the
Promo
Lions of
code
Liberty?
But
don't
you
do
have
Harry's.
a promo code?
for Harry's razors?
You can use a promo code. Actually, I can't give the promo code. That's only for our Pride members. Hey, why don't you order our coffee? We have a coffee.
What kind of coffee?
It's actually fucking really good.
Is it?
It's through Anarcho Coffee. We have our own brand.
Anarcho
CBD
coffee?
It's called
infused?
Anarcho Coffee.
I don't buy anything Anarcho.
You can buy it whole bean or grand. Hey,
because I hate all of them.
well, you're going to like this coffee, man.
They're not the friendliest ones online.
Yeah. They're not friendly people, so they wouldn't be friendly coffee.
This is friendly coffee. Customer service is just smashing. Delicious coffee. Wakes you up, gets you going in the morning when you're drinking away a hangover.
Narcocoffee.com/Lions.
Matt,
Lions of Liberty. Or you go to lionsofliberty.com/coffee, even
there
easier.
you go. All right. No, Matt is an anarcho-capitalist on who co-hosts the show with me now, and we agree on like 99% of everything. Now he's definitely more of like he digs a little bit. He goes much more into conspiracy than I do, and he likes to talk about the state more than I do. But what's funny is I've gotten more over the last 4 or 5 years of doing the show. I've gotten more shit from anarchists than I have anybody else.
Well, of course, man.
And I'm like they are. It's almost like they have. If you're an anarchist, you have the biggest chip on your shoulder, and you have the thinnest skin of any human being alive. It's actually you want to talk about social justice warriors and snowflakes, dude. I have met no bigger snowflake than a lot of the anarcho-capitalists.
Well, it's like the purity test. It's
Yeah,
like
but when you meet that
libertarians
same
need-
ANCAP in person at an ANCAP meetup number 9,
they
with
don't say
8
shit to you
they
in person,
never
do they? No, because they're a bunch of pussies.
I view myself. I view myself as more ANCAP than anything. And obviously, I'm a champion of men.
I'm not dissing. I've read plenty of Rothbard over the years.
But, like I said, it's people. It's like, look, no one should ever feel that there's so much that their point of view is so much better than other people's that they can't listen at least and have a conversation. And that's where I feel like if you're, no matter where you are, if you're ANCAP, if you're minarchist, if you're a fucking bleeding heart progressive dickhead, to talk to people, be able to weigh people, talk to them like a person. Don't just attack and not listen, because you might be fucking wrong.
I got another.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna be at Porcfest. If you got a fucking problem with me, come find me, because I'm going to be drinking a lot. So, I have no problem getting into the shit with you at Porcfest.
Jason, you better practice your beer pong skills.
I think it's positive that ANCAP spend all of their time telling other liberty lovers how wrong they are.
Well,
because if they were focusing on the general public, they would give libertarianism such a bad name.
Well,
it would never, ever go.
It's a good thing that they keep that shit in
that
house.
circles to what I was saying earlier, though.
It is. It absolutely is.
But that's what I was talking back to earlier, though, man, is I swear, like, there's people like, there's a new podcast rising up, nipping at our heels.
What? No such thing.
I know. Stealing all our good ideas. But no, I was just on the, I think, on the Friends Against Government podcast, the Fagcast.
Oh, yeah, I see.
No, they're good people, but they're funny. It's like they're likable guys. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I was asking about our libertarians getting cooler, because I think those guys are pretty heavily, I would say I place them heavily in the ANCAP camp, but they're not dicks. Like that's the thing. It's like, don't be a dick.
There's nothing wrong with there's absolutely nothing wrong with the philosophy.
No, it's how
they're delivering it. Yeah, and that's my whole point. It's why I led with the fact that Matt is an anarcho-capitalist, and he's on the show.
You work with him.
He's a friend. We agree on 90% of the stuff that we talk about, and the
one thing they don't agree on: hentai porn.
I believe,
weird thing to diverge on, but
99%.
Jason likes tentacles.
It went down by 9%.
He likes the ecchi where the girls' vaginas turn into big dicks. I might be wrong on that. I can't remember if that's somebody corrected. Oh, lolly. I made I made a joke about this on Twitter, and somebody corrected me, and they were like,
"It's an ANCAP telling you how wrong you
were." You could follow that Twitter feed at ANCAP lollydicks. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh no!
Trust me, I've been doing this So back when I was a leftist, I only did anti-war. But once I started 10th Amendment Center in 2006, I have had literally more opposition from ANCAPs than I've gotten from the far left.
And by the way, ANCAPs, I love you. Like I said, I view myself as 99% ANCAP. So ANCAPs, I love you. Don't be scared off by these two status shitheads.
No, but as a group, you guys need to tighten it up a little bit.
I'm friends with ANCAPs.
Yeah, of course.
That's the thing. Is the cool ones, the ones who like legitimately will have a conversation with you, is fine. What I'm saying is, those of you in that camp who like to go around and talk to everybody about how much smarter you are than everybody else, you're not any smarter than anybody else.
Right.
I've read all the books that you've read.
Right, your encyclopedic knowledge.
You're not any more well versed or well read than I am.
And Economy and State was not easy, but we got through
it. Those books are complicated and frustrating at times, but we've all read them, so you don't know anything that I don't know. And I get really frustrated with the fact that there's no, it's almost like, oh, I've read these books, so now I know everything.
Well, that's I think a common problem.
You know a lot of theory.
It gets back to what we were talking about in regards to vaccines. There's something different between talking about something in theory and then what do we do in the current infrastructure right now. That's what you were talking about, Jason.
Exactly.
Is like,
well, and it's also, look, people like, libertarianism, even though it's got this rep as being like this nerdy fucking thing, is honestly, when you see it put into practice, when you actually do read up, you actually become very excited about it, because it is, once you get into the theory, and because you can see it play out in so many aspects of everyday life, the economy, education, the government. It's amazing to see it actually take place, and when you start to learn the theories behind it, you see it and you go, holy fuck, man, like I am #woke. And that is exciting. So I can get why these people are so encouraged to be like, let me tell you something why you're wrong. Right. But it's like all you do is end up acting like the fucking who are those black dudes that were yelling at the kids from the MAGA hat kid. Fucking what those kids? It's
high
like
school.
Yeah, whoever the black Adventists or the black Israelites. You end up sounding like a black Israelite because you're just spouting your shit that no one understands, number one, and you're not winning any converts.
No.
So rein that shit in, become more likable, stop being it's like being a cultist rather than somebody that has a logical perspective, which is what libertarianism is.
I do believe that it's like if people who do this could do what you're recommending, be more likable. Find common ground.
And I know that's kind of a crazy thing to say, like people are likable.
Some people shift how they approach things. Of course, they learn and they realize that this is a better strategy to win people over time. For people who are willing to do that, do it. But otherwise, keep hammering on libertarians and keep hammering on allies and friends. Then you're not fucking up the whole movement for everybody else.
Keep focusing on the internal drama of the party.
Who doesn't like who.
And who doesn't like, and who's right, and who's a real libertarian and who isn't.
Right.
You guys keep focusing on that, and all of us who are really going to create some change and some forward progress will be focusing on the outside.
Make friends, not fucking enemies. And you say this, I know. We all talk about that. Make friends, not enemies. You're not helping. You can be right all day long. Right? Be right all day long. But if you're just pissing people the fuck off, they're going to walk away from that conversation as right as you are going, fuck that guy flipping you off. I'm going to go the opposite way out of spite, especially now in today's world where people are so ego driven. I want to be right. My whole social persona depends on me being right. I put all my thoughts on Twitter for the last 5 fucking years.
Yeah, who wins somebody
this
over
position,
in a Twitter debate?
It's hard to get somebody to change their mind now.
I look at Chris Cantwell. I mean, that dude used to talk shit on me all day.
Really?
Oh yeah, he used to like just pick fights with me on Twitter and shit.
Back when he was a libertarian?
Yeah, well, back before he went to prison. So,
back before he was chanting Jews will not replace us.
He went to jail, so fuck him.
I'm
the winner.
Someone's fucking him.
Yeah, well, I guess so. I don't know. But my point is that, dude, that's the type of hate and discontent and that doesn't move the message forward. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help us. And I know we're picking on ANCAPs, but truthfully, it's anybody who chooses to take a combative position when they're discussing the ideas. What you should be, you should come across in any discussion as the absolute most reasonable person in the room.
You keyed on the phrase, man, combative. People cannot, you're not going to win anybody by being combative. You have to find a point of agreement and then build on that point of agreement. And then, but once you get people to sign off on one aspect of, let's say, quote unquote, libertarian thinking without and don't fucking call it that.
Unless you can,
yes. And don't call it. But like you said, if you're combative, people instantly, their instinct is to reject it, is to put up their boundaries and be defensive. If you come at it and say, you know what, I agree with you, but here's my take on it, and here's why I think it could work differently and more effectively from a different perspective.
Like, for example, the leading opponents that we've found, at least in my work on marijuana legalization, has always been libertarians who say it doesn't go far enough. If it doesn't go all the way, if you don't get pure liberty in one step, we're going to oppose it. It's a purist test all the time.
Seriously?
Yeah. But one thing that I learned as a former Marxist and leftist, and I know all of us realize that the leftists are freaking nuts, but one thing that I learned back in those days was coalition building. Setting aside differences on everything but one issue, because if you work with other people, you can get shit done. And I think a lot of libertarians, because they see the barrel of the gun of government in every situation, they have a hard time setting that aside on certain things to accomplish something, but that ends up being a negative quality. It really hurts the effort.
Everybody loves a good one-night stand. And that's what we got to look, as libertarians, we have to embrace the one-night stand philosophy. There's a lot of emotion that goes into somebody that. Out. It's not wrong to bang somebody out for one night. You both have a good time. You go your separate ways. We need to do that on more fucking issues.
What if you fall in love during spring break?
The cause.
You've never fallen.
That's an interesting analogy, but I don't disagree.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, boys. I have to actually wake up. There are some sponsors who are going to pay me an outrageous amount of money tomorrow to do a show.
This kind of money.
15 minutes ago, Stapleton goes, "Hey man, I can go all night."
Right, but now I have to take a leak.
Too bad.
We're going to tell one more thing.
Okay,
we're doing one more topic.
Go ahead.
This will be just for the bonus show. I'm going to put all this other shit's regular show. This is just for the bonus show.
This is where we're making the cut, and all you losers who are not part of the insider group.
Yes, the Lions of Liberty Pride. Clearly, Jason is not a member.
And the best part is going to come right now.
Yeah.
So
sponsored by lionsofliberty.com/coffee. lionsofliberty.com/coffee.
From Anarcho Coffee. After it was talking shit and anarchist.
Next time I come in and we do one of these, I'm going to bring all my advertising stuff and I'm just going to read ads.
You should program into your board.
Plug my own stuff in there.
Just hit ads on your fucking board throughout it.
Hang on.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, hold on. Let me wrap the show officially. We'll go to the bonus content. So, guys, that's it. We're going to wrap the show here. You guys got to join lionsofliberty.com/Patreon, or even better, patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. Join the pride. You're going to hear the bonus content that we're about to do now. Want to thank my guests, Jason Stapleton, my buddy here from the Jason Stapleton program. Sir, thank you for coming out, getting drunk, and talking some shit.
Thank you, buddy.
And, of course, I also said the late, great, like you were dead. Did you hear me almost say that?
Wow.
You guys all caught that. It was like rolled off the tongue.
Brian actually just traveled from the future.
Way too easy, man.
And he's here to tell me something.
Oh, shit. The great Michael Boldin, who I adore, from the 10th Amendment Center, guys. Go support his work. Michael, thank you.
I love you as well.
And thank you for hosting this affair.
I just like being at home, to be honest.
Yeah, and we like being in your home. This is the first time I've been here since you were awake.
I would go to the Apex.
Here's the thing. Oh, you got a great pad.
It's all. Oh, I don't care. It's all right. It's all hardwood floors and everything. That's the problem. It's super echoey in there.
I'm doing that with my apartment right now. I got to put rugs down like this. But anyway, that's going to do it. But yeah, thank you for hosting, man. This is the first time I've been in your apartment when you were awake, so it's good to be here. When you know about it. But no, that's it, guys. Lions of Liberty. Thanks to you guys. Remind you to listen to Mark on Mondays with in-depth interviews with the leaders of the libertarian movement. John Odiodermatt on Fridays with Felony Fridays. And that's going to do it, guys. From me, Brian McWilliams, from Michael Boldin, from Jason Stapleton, from the Lions of Liberty, and from Electric Libertyland. Always stay plugged into liberty.